This is Andrea Boyd coming to you from my car because that's where the clippy thing is for my phone. I'm reading from Securing Ashley, my very first book. Don't be frightened by the fact that it's fantasy. If you've never read fantasy, this is a good one to start with, because it has romance and, laughter and everything else. The part I'm reading is the funny part. And the ebook version of it's free right now, so this will be a good time to try it out. To set the scene up, Queen Brianna is having to find a husband. She's trying to narrow down her list. It's not going so well, and it's getting stressful. So her friend Gwen is going to come in with something fun for them to do to lighten the mood. Gwen calmly opened a drawer in my desk and pulled out a spare piece of parchment, a quill, and ink. She then sat down on the end of one of the two overstuffed couches facing each other in my sitting room. You just need to focus on finding a man for now. The rest will fall into place. I can see this situation calls for a list. Forget about what's proper, what the council wants, what is best for the people, all of that. What qualities are you looking for in a husband? We had played this game many times over the years, making up silly lists and laughing away the tension before we got down to the real business at hand. I could always count on Gwen to lighten my foul mood. For one thing, he should be totally committed to me, agreeing to allow me to run things my way, while he does, I have no idea, whatever it is boys like to do in their spare time. Gwen set the quill flying across the parchment, while slowly repeating each word as she wrote. Gives in to my every whim, much like a servant. I pointed a finger at her. Exactly. And not one with too many winners behind him either. I want someone close in age to myself. Let's just say within 10 years of my age, and I think she's coming on 18. Gwen bounced a little in her seat at this one. Oh, have you considered King Coleman? King Coleman's the enemy. Have you considered his youngest? Ryan is, maybe 13 years old? That is well within the 10-year range. I rolled my eyes and smiled, well aware of the fact that she had purposely exaggerated his age. He is 9, and no, I meant someone older, unless, maybe if I were allowed another 10 years before we married, and they allowed someone like Eamon to finish raising him. Although, I'm not so sure 10 years would be enough even for Eamon to straighten that child out. I'm afraid he is beyond hope. I guess we will have to go with someone my age or a little older, as I said. Go on, write it down. I flicked my hand toward the parchment as if I'd set her about a chore of utmost importance. She held up one finger. Just a moment. I'm not so sure if I would give up on the idea of a much older gentleman if I were you. Just think, before long you could have the respected title of widow, allowing you to seek out the one you really want. Gwen's lips were pressed together, trying to suppress the giggles that wanted desperately to come out. I stuck my finger in my mouth and faked a gag. She did giggle then. All right, I've got it. No geezers, she wrote, and we both laughed. What else do you seek from this perfect man you are describing? Well, I think it's important for us to share some of the same ideas, interests, beliefs, and such. I do not mean everything should be alike. That would be boring. The basics. I had been half joking up to this point, but this part was a true concern of mine. There was no comment from Gwen this time, as she just leaned over the parchment and said, smart like me, not a worshiper of Baal, and then looked back at me. Anything else? I tapped my chin, trying to imagine what else I would want in a husband. Bria, I cannot believe you have yet to mention his looks. That is one of the most important parts. It is not that I want an ugly man, but looks are not the most important thing to me. Well, maybe not the most important, but physical attraction is usually one of the first things that draw two people together. So what kind of physical attributes does Brianna Rayner, Queen of Ashley, find appealing in the male species? Gwen had her pick of men, but I had truly never given boys in general much thought until now. I suppose all of the talk starting early in my life about marrying for the sake of the kingdom had sent me in the opposite direction. You know, the usual nice teeth, kind eyes, and good hair. What else is there to say? Bria, we are not talking about buying a horse. I wish we were. That would be much easier, and I would prefer that to trying to find a husband. She laughed and then studied the parchment in front of her for a moment. I wondered what features she found attractive in a man. Judging by her list of suitors, she did not seem to have a preference where looks were concerned. All right, try this. Close your eyes and think. In all the land, of every man you have ever met, who would you find to be the most attractive? And it is no matter if he is unavailable or unsuitable. We are just trying to come up with features. I closed my eyes and a very unexpected image immediately popped in my head, but I pushed it aside just as quickly. There is no one. What do we have on the list so far? Let's see. Gives in to my every whim, much like a servant, no geezers, smart like me, not a worshiper of Baal, and I'm adding horse-like features. So what do you think about that? I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.